I'm Jennifer Smith.
And I'm Elva Jones.
And we are Women's Health in Black and White. Today we're going to be talking about, we've been in previous videos in the past few months, weeks, been talking about birth control choices.
Right.
Today we're going to talk about the also-rans, the permanent choices that are designed to be permanent and can't be reversed, and some other choices that are not as commonly in use.
Right.
So one of the choices that I was actually going to bring a tester and show you is a diaphragm, but I couldn't find one because nobody uses them anymore. As a matter of fact, the people that I work with, the docs in my office and the nurse practitioners, all kind of looked at me like I was crazy when I asked if we had a tester somewhere.
Where are you going to find a diaphragm?
And only one of them has tested anybody in the last 20 years.
Wow.
So you may have a hard time getting fitted for a diaphragm. What a diaphragm is a cup, a cervical cap that fits over your cervix. It gets filled with spermicidal jelly and then placed over the cervix right before you have sex. The benefit of the diaphragm is that it's controlled by the patient. You do it in your privacy of your own home. You don't need a prescription to have one placed. You do it yourself. It can be used as needed. You don't have to take a pill every day. Right. You don't have to have something implanted in your body. Yeah. You just use it as you need to. And you control when you use it and how you use it. The negatives. It has to be refitted if you gain or lose more than 10 pounds. And I don't know about you, but most women I know gain and lose 10 pounds monthly.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. It has to be refitted if you have a baby. And it can cut down on the spontaneity of sex.
Yeah.
If you think the conversation about whether or not you have a condom is awkward, the conversation of, excuse me, I have to jump up and run to the my bathroom and place my diaphragm could be a little awkward too. It's a little messy. I think some women have a greater tolerance to messy than others. I know women who won't use tampons because they think they're messy. So diaphragms can be a little messy, but once you get the hang of them, they're not hard to use. But they do have some negatives, and there are so many other kinds of birth control that are available for use and very easy to use that diaphragms have very much fallen on the wayside. Yeah. I do have one interesting story about diaphragms, though.
I'm scared.
There was a patient who came into the office. She was trying to get pregnant and couldn't get pregnant and couldn't understand why she couldn't get pregnant. And when the exam was done, a diaphragm tester was in place and had been there for a year. She had been fitted for a diaphragm. Yeah. And they just didn't take it out. And she didn't know it was there, and it was there for a whole year.
Oh, my goodness.
Once it was removed, she got pregnant pretty quickly. So they're pretty effective, actually.
Yeah,
that it would be there the whole year. She didn't even know it, and it kept her from getting pregnant. But you're going to have a hard time finding this if you're interested in it.
Right.
Spermicidal jelly, which is what it gets filled with, is used frequently by people who want something that is controlled by them and easy to use. You can buy spermicidal jelly. You just use it topically, and it kills the sperm. Yeah. There's something called VCF. It's vaginal contraceptive film. It is a sheet of film that you place inside, and with the moisture in the vagina and the heat in the vagina, it becomes spermicide. I wouldn't use either one of those by themselves. I don't think that they're a great choice.
I feel like they still need something else.
I do too. And also they offer absolutely no protection against STDs. Right. Not that the pill does, but this by themselves, it doesn't just seem like a really foolproof method to me. Permanent birth control. You have basically two choices for permanent birth control. Either he can do it or you can do it. Yeah. Vasectomy, which is the men's form of permanent birth control, is my favorite.
I love it.
I think it's the way to go. I think if a woman has had a kid or two, she's done her job. Yeah. And it's his turn to step up. It has some real benefits. And I'm not just saying that it's time for him to have some pain. I'm really not just saying that. There are some benefits to vasectomy. One is it's local anesthesia. Bilateral tubal ligation, the woman's permanent sterilization, is general anesthesia with all the inherent risks of general anesthesia. But for a vasectomy, it's done in a doctor's office with a shot of local anesthesia. Recovery time is a day or two. Yeah. Now, guys, you could milk this for a week if you wanted to. And I'd back you up.
They will.
I would support you. But really, it's a day or two. A lot of men have their procedure done Super Bowl weekend. Or during March Madness. That's probably the most heavy time to go and get your vasectomy, because you go and have your vasectomy and then you chill out on the couch and watch basketball all weekend long.
Yeah.
The way that it works is that a small incision is made on the back side of the scrotal sac, where you can visualize the vas deferens, the tubes that lead from the testicles to the penis. Mm-hmm. The vas deferens are clipped or crushed or sewn shut. There's several different ways it can be done, but basically it's a mechanical interruption in the communication between the testicles and the penis. It does not affect your weight, your sex drive, your mood, your anger management, your anything. You may notice a slight decrease in the amount of ejaculate you have after your vasectomy is done, but you will still ejaculate. Yeah. And sex will feel just like it did before. Now, there are 3 instances in which I would advocate not to do a vasectomy. There are 3 times when I think the woman should do it. The first is if you're having a C-section. If you are having a C-section and you're getting your tubes tied at the same time, it adds absolutely no extra risk. And no extra time to the procedure. Yeah. It doesn't change how long it takes you to recover. Mm-hmm. And it can generally be done very, very quickly. Yeah. The second reason that I would suggest that a woman do it instead of the man is if he has a really strong family history of prostate cancer. Yeah. If his daddy, granddaddy, older brother, uncle all had prostate cancer, maybe we don't go messing with those tubes. And the third reason that I would recommend tubal ligation instead of vasectomy is if insurance will pay for it better. And honestly, for my family, that's what it would come down to. If I've got insurance coverage, like I have Medicaid for my pregnancy, and my partner has no insurance, I would do it. That seems very reasonable to me. It is 99.9% effective. Mm-hmm. Recovery, like I said, is very fast, just a couple of days. I have a family member, I'm not going to call him out and say who, but I have a family member who got his done on a Friday morning. I called to check on him that afternoon, and he said, yeah, I'm good. I'm sitting here at a softball game watching my kid play. He said, I just sat around with some ice between my legs for a little while, and I'm fine. Right. But for every story that everything goes smoothly like that, I could probably tell you one where it didn't. I have another associate, a friend, who had it done, a blood vessel that was bleeding wasn't caught, and he wound up with a hugely edematous scrotal sac and a great deal of pain and had to have surgery to fix it. But it is considered a very safe and very quick procedure. The woman's version, bilateral tubal ligation. If it's done with a C-section, it's pretty safe, pretty easy, pretty fast. Mm-hmm. It's done under whatever anesthesia you have for the C-section, which is most likely going to be a spinal or an epidural. Right. And from your perspective as a patient, you won't even know it's happening. You're probably laying there admiring your brand new baby. Yep. There are many different ways to do it. You can open the sac that the tube is in, cut the tube, tie it off, literally tie the tubes. Yeah. Or most offices now, or most practitioners now, do something called Filshie clips. They look like big staples, and they crush the tube. Mm-hmm. Our docs use 2 on each side just to be extra safe. It crushes the tube. Again, this is a mechanical interruption in the communication between where the egg is made and the uterus. It does not change your weight, your sex drive, your mood, your period. It doesn't make them heavier. It doesn't make them longer. It doesn't make them crampier. Now, when we talked about menopause, I said that a lot of people complain that tubal messed up their cycles, changed a lot of things. It didn't, I promise. My tubes were never tied, but I hit 36 and my periods got weird and they got longer and they were crampier, and things just change as we age, and most people who are getting their tubes tied are doing it in their mid to late 30s, and so you're going to associate a tubal with those changes. I promise it had nothing to do with your tubes being tied. It is also 99.9% effective, and both of these procedures are permanent. Don't do this lightly. I have girls come in all the time in their 20s asking to have their tubes tied. Mm-hmm. And if I say I believe in a woman's right to be autonomous in her health care, I have to say that I believe that she should make those choices, even 21-year-olds. But I do a lot of counseling because there's a big difference in your life at 21 and 31
Oh, yeah.
and 41.
Oh, yeah.
And the women who come back to me and say, I shouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry I did it. I want it reversed. I want another baby, are the ones that do it in their early 20s to mid 20s. You could be in a whole different relationship at 31 with a different man who's never had kids and really wants yours.
Yeah.
So if you come to me at 21 and say, I want my tubes tied, I'm going to say yes, because you're an adult. You can make those decisions, and I support your right to choose that. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to do a lot of counseling first. I want you to have prayed about it, and thought about it, and talked to your family, and be really, really sure that you are done having babies. However, if you are really done having babies, one of these ways is the way to go, because you can enjoy the rest of your life and not worry about birth control, not need to spend the money on birth control. You're free to make your sexual choices, your relationship choices, without being worried about reproductive issues.
Right.
Those are the permanents and the also runs. If you have any questions about birth control, I do want to mention the Today sponge, which is not on the market anymore, but it makes me very sad. For my friends out there who are really big fans of Seinfeld when it was on the air, you may remember Elaine running all over town trying to buy them out of Today sponges. It was a great product. It was a squishy sponge that you ran under the water for a second to activate the spermicide, and then you just pushed it inside, and it acted as cervical cap and spermicide. And if the manufacturers for birth control are listening, that was a really great product. You need to bring it back. That's my speech.
That's your spill on it.
If you have any questions about any birth controls, women's health issues, sexuality issues, be sure to comment on our YouTube videos and like and subscribe and share them with your friends. Ask us questions. Tell us your stories. Follow us on social media.
And follow us on our podcast, Afterglow.
We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and we would love to hear from you.
Bye.